Welcome to this tutorial on the cosine command in Splunk SPL. The cosine function, abbreviated as cos, is a fundamental trigonometric function that calculates the cosine of angles measured in radians. In Splunk, the cos command is used for trigonometric calculations, particularly useful when working with periodic data, signal processing, and mathematical transformations. The cosine function takes an angle as input and returns a value that represents the horizontal coordinate of a point on the unit circle. The syntax for the cosine command in Splunk is straightforward. You simply write cos followed by parentheses containing the angle value x. The x represents the angle that must be expressed in radians, not degrees. The function returns the cosine value, which will always be between -1 and +1. This is because cosine represents the horizontal projection of a point on the unit circle, and the circle has a radius of 1. Let's look at a practical example of using the cosine function. We use the eval command to create new fields with cosine calculations. First, we calculate cos of 0, which equals 1. Then we calculate cos of pi divided by 2, which equals 0. Finally, we calculate cos of pi, which equals -1. These correspond to 0 degrees, 90 degrees, and 180 degrees respectively. These are fundamental values that demonstrate how cosine behaves at key angles. Here are the most commonly used cosine values that you should remember. At 0 degrees, which is 0 radians, cosine equals 1. At 90 degrees, which is pi divided by 2 radians, cosine equals 0. At 180 degrees, which is pi radians, cosine equals -1. At 270 degrees, which is 3 pi divided by 2 radians, cosine again equals 0. These values form a complete cycle and are essential for understanding trigonometric patterns in your data analysis. In real-world applications, you often need to convert degrees to radians before using the cosine function. This example shows how to do that conversion and apply the cosine function. First, we multiply the angle by pi and divide by 180 to convert from degrees to radians. Then we apply the cosine function to get the cosine value. Finally, we select only the angle and cosine value fields for our output. This approach is particularly useful for signal processing and wave analysis in your Splunk data. Let's review the key points about the cosine command. First, remember that input must always be in radians, not degrees. If you have degree measurements, you must convert them first. Second, the cosine function always returns values between -1 and +1. Third, this function is particularly useful for signal analysis and working with periodic data patterns. Fourth, you can combine cosine with other trigonometric functions like sine and tangent for comprehensive trigonometric analysis in your Splunk searches. If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit CodeLucky.com for more such useful content.